Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. If you're new to my channel, I don't normally have my head covered up, but I have lately because I had a little patch of skin cancer on the back of my head, and so it's healing. It's not very pleasant to look at, and so hence hats and bandanas. But it's Jane Austen July. And many of you know that I have been reading The Genius of Jane Austen, Her Love of Theater and Why She Works in Hollywood by Paula Byrne. This is proving to be more academic than I was expecting. I have read another book I'm going to show you by Paula Byrne. I'm very determined to finish this by the end of July. What is missing from kind of my Jane Austen, dare I say, collection? I don't usually speak in collection terms. I don't consider myself a book collector, but at the same time, I'm like, what books do I need to go and acquire? Now, I have heard many people talk about a new book. I believe it's called What Jane Austen Read. After hearing about her theater experiences, I'm not sure I'm ready for that one yet. But if there's another great Jane Austen book out there, yeah, I'd love for you to tell me about it in the comments section. So please make recommendations as to what would be another great book related to Jane Austen. So I'm going to start off though by showing you my actual books by Jane Austen. So of course we have a broad view edition of Northanger Abbey. It's not as bad as my broad view edition of Jane Eyre. I didn't buy these these broad view ones. Northanger Abbey, I know it has so much love out there. It's just not one of my favorites. We have a beautiful edition of Sense and Sensibility. We have the masterpiece theater film or a miniseries adaptation, excuse me, of Emma with Romola Garai and Johnny Lee Miller. This book's probably been on my channel more than anything else. Pride and Prejudice. I do love that book. Mansfield Park, which is kind of what I think prompted a lot of people to think that Jane Austen did not like the theater, did not approve of the theater, which, believe me, Paula Byrne is debunking that myth in the book that I'm reading right now. I actually like Mansfield Park. Yeah, so I know it's not everyone's favorite. And then of course I have Persuasion. Such a wonderful story. I keep trying to get Jason to read it, and he has started it at times, but has not finished it. I would love to have a book discussion with him on my channel, as well as watch all of the film adaptations. If you want to know my recommendation for Persuasion adaptations, it would be the BBC adaptation starring Sally Hawkins. I love that one so much. And of course, I also have Lady Susan, which for the longest time, that was the only Jane Austen my husband had read. He'd be like, I've read Lady Susan and you haven't. And anyway, but it also includes the Watsons and Sanditon, of course, her uncompleted works. I do really enjoy Lady Susan, just for like the snark. Like, I every time I read it, I have to like just find like that snarky voice in me, and then the book, this novella, just comes alive for me so much. I also got this. I'm pretty sure I got this from the British Museum. The History of England by Jane Austen, and it's I'm going to say this wrong, a facsimile edition. I apologize. Struggle with pronunciation sometimes. You can see it written in Jane Austen's hand, which is so cool. And then at the back of the book is, you know, it actually just typed out so that you can read it. Her handwriting is challenging. Another book that I'm sure I got in Bath or in someplace in England. I have this little handy dandy just Jane Austen booklet. It's full of lovely pictures and gives you more about the time and her life and things like that. So anyway, but it's a very, this is, you know, like a pamphlet. Then I have this really interesting biography. I have not read this, so if anyone out there has read this, I would really like to know more about this. But one of our friends that lived in England for a time got me Jane Austen, the famous biography by Elizabeth Jenkins. And I honestly, like, what I think is so cool about this book is that inside the book was, again, a little tiny booklet of the history of England by a partial, prejudiced, and ignorant historian. Oh my God, it's just, yeah, like, it's really tiny. But, so that was inside this, but there's also a letter, and to give you an idea of how old this biography is, this letter was written in London, June 2nd, 1974. It's addressed to a Miss Chateau. It's hard to read the writing. And yeah, it's a letter from Elizabeth Jenkins. Like it's her writing, and I just think that's wild, and I mean, my goodness, should have been part of the value of the book. But anyway, so I do have this biography that I have not read, but I have some other Austen books. This is Austen Years by Rachel Cohen, a memoir in 5 novels. I would kind of consider this like Austen adjacent. I read this for Jane Austen July several years ago. And yeah, so I mean, this was a gift from a very special person, and so it's just going to stay in our library. I'm not sure. It might benefit from a reread. Other Jane Austen books that I have. I think I've read all of these for Jane Austen July. So the first one, since we talked about biographies, is Jane Austen, A Life by Claire Tomlin. This book was so fantastic. I loved it so much. I can't believe, I would be shocked to find out if I didn't give this book 5 stars on Goodreads. It is, it's not huge, but it was such an eye-opener into Jane Austen's life. I really, really loved this. Really, really enjoyed it a lot. So this would be a high recommendation of books if you're looking for books for your Jane Austen collection. And then I've got, and I still have stickies, I don't know why. The Real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things by Paula Byrne. So this is the same author of the book that I'm reading right now. I do not remember this book very well, and I don't remember it being as kind of heavy as The Genius of Jane Austen is. But that's fine. I mean, I'm gonna hold on to this because, again, oh God, the type is so small. But I mean, there's just wonderful things in here, and yeah, it's a list of like items. I think that's always worth like revisiting and yeah, going back. So it's it's a good Jane Austen book to have, but I would definitely say the Claire Tomlin book is better. And one year, and I can't remember if I did this as a buddy read or not, but I read Among the Janeites, A Journey Through the World of Jane Austen Fandom by Deborah Yaffe. I'm probably not going to read this book again, but my husband says, no, we have to keep it. Like, he might want to read it, so we'll see. But it was really interesting because as someone who thinks that she's a Jane Austen fan, I read this book and realized, no. There are people who take this way, way more seriously than I do. And so, yeah, the author kind of talks about like different Jane Austen societies and conventions and people who like actually have dresses made. It's so expensive and difficult to transport and all this kind of stuff. It was the clothing part I just remember really wildly like. And also, I think at one of the conventions, there were like people that had like Team Willoughby shirts or pins on, and Team Darcy, whatever. I just thought it was crazy. But anyway, so like I said, it was a book that made me go, oh, I do really love Jane Austen, but I am not this hardcore. So. Yeah. So anyway, I really, I enjoyed reading it. I'm probably not going to read it again. This last book is a book that I would have never discovered without Booktube, and that is What Matters in Jane Austen, 20 Crucial Puzzles Solved by John Mullen. Of course, there's a new edition out now that has like a different cover, but this was a great book. I was so glad that I found this through Booktube. And again, I read it for a Jane Austen July, and it's the kind of thing like you get done. And I actually remember feeling like I wanted to go immediately after reading this, like I wanted to just read all of Jane Austen's novels, so that I could pick up on the things that John Mullen talks about in here. I'm trying to think of like, what do characters say when the heroine is not there? Let's see, which important characters never speak? Why is it risky to go to the seaside? So anyway, there's lots of it's a cool idea for a book. And I think John Mullen pulls it off really well. And, again, super grateful. I just kept hearing every July, there were people talking about this book. I haven't read it. I again, highly, highly recommend it. But I want to know, I know there are tons more books out there about Jane Austen, so I would love to hear from you. What are your favorites? What's missing from my Jane Austen collection? Do you have like favorite editions of her novels or some of these other books? I do think there's a collection of letters out there. You know, I don't have that, so I don't know, like, if it was, because so many of her letters were burned, but yeah, so, and if you want to recommend a novel that's, you know, a retelling or a, I don't know, a different perspective of a Jane Austen novel, you can share that as well. Like I said, I didn't go through and find all of my other Austen-related novels for this video, but I just thought I'd share those with you. I look forward to hearing your comments down below. As always, if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can give this video a thumbs up. You can leave an emoji, maybe try to find a Jane Austen related emoji, or, you know, anything is fine. But yeah, I do love engaging with all of you in the comments section. And so I look forward to hearing from you there. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.